Hello and welcome to Newsround, the programme where we bring you all the latest news and views about the aerospace, aviation and defence across the emerging markets of Africa, Arabia and South Asia. I'm Ella Nethersole.
And I'm Mark Pilling. In this programme we bring you the news of a major fighter order from the UAE. We share plans to form a new airline in Nigeria, and we find out how one manufacturer plans to make a big difference in the fight for zero emissions. All to come after this short break, followed by the news headlines from Ella.
And welcome back. The new owners of once bankrupt Jet Airways India are in talks with Boeing and Airbus to purchase at least 100 narrow-body jets for the carrier's fleet in a bid to revive what used to be the biggest private airline in South Asia. The winning bidders plan to start flights in the first 3 months of next year. The new Zambia Airways took off with a flight from Lusaka to Ndola on the 1st of December. The airline is a joint venture between Ethiopian Airlines and Zanzibar's Industrial Development Corporation. Ethiopian holds 45% stake in the venture. Shareholders have contributed $30 million in capital to establish the airline. Saudi Arabia's helicopter company, the only commercial helicopter operator in the kingdom, has signed its second deal with Airbus Helicopters, this time for 26 aircraft. Chairman Raid Ismail said the deal is part of the company's commitment to introduce new services with advanced technology to support the development of Saudi's wider aviation sector. Donata has entered an investment in Zanzibar aviation industry, where the Dubai company will oversee the operations of Zanzibar Abdi Amani Karoum International Airport's newly built Terminal 3. At the UK's Aviation Club last week, Qatar Airways Chief Executive Akbar Al-Bakr highlighted the ongoing issue of paint degradation that has grounded 20 of its Airbus A350s. Al-Bakr has been critical of the response of Airbus to the problem, which he wants solved as quickly as possible. Embraer has signed an MOU with Pratt & Whitney to collaborate on studies of 100% sustainable aviation fuel. Technical teams from the two companies will engage to define an integrated ground and flight test plan for 100% SAF in a GTF-powered Embraer E195-E2 aircraft. Egypt Air Training Academy has renewed its approval of training Libyan Airlines pilots, cabin crew, engineers and dispatchers using the A320 and A330 simulators at its Cairo centre. Russian helicopters and the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Bangladesh have signed a contract for the delivery of two Mi-171A2 heavy multi-purpose helicopters. The two-rotor aircraft will be delivered to the customer in the first quarter of 2023. The Tunisian Air Force is to receive 8 T-6C Texan II trainer aircraft from the Textron Aviation Defence. They will be delivered from October next year. United Airlines continues its push into Africa, inaugurating flights between Washington's Dulles and Lagos's Murtala Mohammed International. The airline will be flying a Boeing 787-8 on the route 3 times per week. It has also restored connections to South Africa. Etihad Holidays is to be bought by Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Company ADNEC to expand its footprint in tourism and will become a part of the Tourism 365 brand, ADNEC's tourism promotional business. And finally, Turkish Airlines is celebrating 88 years in service, 70 years in the Middle East and 40 years in the UAE. The airline established in 1933 with a fleet of 5 aircraft. It launched its first Middle East flight to Beirut and Cairo in 1951, and the first UAE flight landed in Abu Dhabi on the 7th of January 1981. And a very happy anniversary. Mark.
Thank you, Ella. Now the champagne corks are popping in a big way at Dassault following last week's announcement that the UAE Air Force is to buy the French fighter, the Dassault Rafale. Defence editor Jon Lake joins us now. Jon, we saw the Rafale in action at the Dubai Airshow, but there was no mention of this coming up.
That's right, Mark. There wasn't any mention of an actual order, though Dassault were all over Dubai like a rash. A Rafale was arguably the highlight of the daily flying display. They sponsored the Dubai International Air Chiefs Conference, and it seemed as though everywhere one looked, everywhere one turned, there were posters and models of the Rafale, usually accompanied by effusive congratulations from Dassault to the UAE on its 50th anniversary. Now, Dassault looked really confident and comfortable at Dubai, and now we know why. This is the end of a really long road for Dassault, whose previous 2011 offer to supply some 60 Rafales to the UAE was very publicly rebuffed as being both uncompetitive and unworkable. But after a decade-long charm offensive by France, which has included Army de l'Air Rafales being stationed in the UAE, as well as regular exercises and plenty of links between the two militaries, the Emirates have joined a growing community of Rafale users. These users consist of Egypt, who recently ordered 30 more Rafales to join the 24 aircraft they already have, Qatar and India, who've taken 36 aircraft each, Greece, whose 24 aircraft include 12 second-hand aircraft from France, and Croatia, who'll take 12 second-hand French Air Force Rafales in the old F3R configuration.
Jon, what about the F-35 for the UAE Air Force? Is that going to happen?
Good question, Mark. The F-35 deal is bogged down, but it's supposed to be separate from and additional to the Emirati requirement to replace its Mirage 2000-9s. That's what we think that this Rafale order is all about. And also they have a requirement to replace their F-16s, the Desert Falcons. So we could even see a further fighter procurement. And don't forget that the UAE isn't just buying fighters. This deal also includes 12 Caracal search and rescue helicopters from Airbus Helicopters. More on all of that in the Defence Show. For now, back to you.
Thanks, Jon. Now, many have tried to establish airlines in Nigeria and many have failed. A new startup, Nigeria Air, is in the planning stages, and I'm delighted to be joined by former Lufthansa executive, captain and industry consultant Tillman Gabriel, who is leading the project.
Well, thank you for having me, Mark. Last Wednesday, we got the approval again by the Mr. President of Nigeria and his Federal Executive Council that this flag carrier, this new flag carrier in Nigeria, can finally be started. It will be a public-private partnership, which is an organized process of not having the government being the owner and the manager of that airline. That was one of the issues in the past, but to have now a request for qualification and request for proposal by international airlines together with, of course, local Nigerian institutional investors to own and manage this new Nigerian flag carrier, Nigeria Air. This will be an airline that will start from scratch. We are already far down in preparing this with a team of executives, so a team of aviation experts. We will start with a short-haul, single-aisle short-haul fleet in next year, in spring, late spring 22, followed by a twin-aisle long-haul fleet sometime later, probably in 2024. That airline has a business plan that looks into the next 10 years and is looking into getting about 30 aircraft within those 10 years, about half short haul, half long haul. It's an absolutely needed airline because with 220 million people in Nigeria and 600 million people in West Africa and Central Africa, there's not enough airline service for this major market. About 1/3 of the people of Africa live there, which has a few airlines, yes, but all relatively small and relatively domestic. That's a great project, a great visionary project of the president of Nigeria and his minister of aviation.
Of course, the main focus for the entire industry is sustainability, and there are many streams of activity with innovations underway. Alan Peaford met up with MTU to hear about the latest from the German manufacturer.
What have you got to be doing to help the industry achieve those 2050 targets?
So we want to offer solutions at MTU. That's what we did in the past very successfully. We have our gear turbofan concept today on the market, which is reducing CO2 significantly and also NOx. And in future, we want to offer new revolutionary engine concepts. So we have a paradigm shift from pure CO2 effect goals towards climate impact goals. We have the Paris Agreement, which MTU committed to, and we want to offer solutions for reaching these goals. So we have two lead concepts. One is the so-called wet engine. It stands for water enhanced turbofan, a gas turbine based concept, where we attack all three climate impacting emissions, which is not only CO2 but NOxes as well as particulates, which generate contrails. And these non-CO2 effects make around 66% of the total climate impact. So if we just focus purely on CO2, we are not attacking 2/3 of the climate impact. Our second lead concept is the flying fuel cell. So it uses hydrogen to produce energy, and through an electric motor we will generate thrust. This is a very new concept. We don't see that today in aviation. We wanna push that towards first maybe a regional product, but going even further, maybe to short medium range. We are pushing both concepts. We are looking into that. We are just in the beginning, but it's a very interesting. Both concepts are very interesting, and we are really pushing very hard to reduce aviation's climate impact.
Now, the CEO of Airbus has said he will have a hydrogen-powered aircraft flying by 2035. How real is that in your view?
I mean, if Airbus says that, I'm pretty sure that it's real. From an engine perspective, I don't think that the challenges are that high that we couldn't provide any solution there. I mean, it's still a gas turbine. Obviously, you burn hydrogen instead of kerosene, but I mean, these engines already existed, so we don't think that it's that major challenge for engine industry. Of course, we do have to do our job, but the impact on the aircraft is really big, and if Airbus is able to do so, we will provide the engine solution for that.
Well, it's been a hectic last month for the Gulf, first with the Dubai Airshow and now with the UAE's order. All of our coverage from the Dubai Airshow, including our 4 daily newspapers and daily video programmes, is available at timesaerospace.aero, as well as our regular defence and training programmes and numerous spotlight interviews with aviation industry leaders. And that's it from me and Marcella. Until the next time, thank you for watching. Goodbye.
How do we achieve ultimate defense interoperability? Inspired by Vision 2030, we are introducing the first of its kind, the World Defense Show. Integrating land, air, sea, satellite, and security.